being called a big boy. I like being a big boy, thanks. There's a bit of a saying, it talks about how some things change and then some things always stay the same. So last year when I was in this room, the Eagles were none from 4, and by the end of the gather round they were actually none from 5. This year the Eagles are none from 4, and I'm pretty certain we're going to help Carlton get their first win on Saturday. So whilst I'm an Eagles tragic, and the Eagles will likely be fighting for the wooden spoon by the end of 2025, at Astral, things certainly are changing, and they're changing dramatically, and a footy euphemism, we are starting to kick some serious goals. We've gone from a 50 mil market cap company, that's probably where we were last year when we spoke to this audience. We're now over 200 mil. It's actually a good day today, so thank you, Donald Trump. We raised 5 cents in March. We had a recent high, 17.5 cents just before the Trump convulsing that we've seen in the market. But more importantly, Astral has gone from a stock that was 5% institutionally held to one that is about 25% institutional ownership today. And that actually is really important because we want to be the next 100,000 ounce per annum producer in this Kalgoorlie district, and you actually need a register that can support you to that outcome. Oh, this button. Are we changing? This one. Wrong button, my fault. So as a refresh, this is a genuine story. We have genuine gold deposits, and we have the capacity to both technically and financially bring these into production. 2 projects, Mandilla and Fayetteville. Mandilla is only 70 kilometres Kalgoorlie. Fayetteville is only 14k south of Cal. Heart of the West Australian goldfields, great location, infrastructure rich. It's the sort of area you want to be able to successfully develop and operate a gold mine. It has a well understood mining code, and it has extremely strong community support for mining. The scoping study that we put out, it was September 23, so it is getting dated. It demonstrated a large scale open pit, 100,000 ounces per annum. It was producing good cash at $2,750 an ounce, and it is generating rivers of cash at the $5,000 gold price that we have today. And while we are still demonstrating the ability to add new ounces, we're also taking the steps that you need to de-risk this project towards production by completing the pre-feasibility, which will be out in this current quarter. We recently completed a transaction for Maximus Resources. So Maximus was an Adelaide quartered business, so there's potentially some ex-Maximus shareholders in this room today. We've just gone to compulsory acquisition. Within 4 weeks' time, it will become a 100% owned subsidiary of Astral. Put simply, this was a really well-executed land grab. If we had a weakness, it was the fact that we had a relatively small tenement footprint. That weakness has been addressed with this transaction. Prior to us approaching Maximus, we actually looked at what a simple thing like our waste dump designs could look like if we could actually relax that infrastructure over the Maximus tenure. And when you're building a waste dump, you pay for it based on the horizontal run and then the vertical rise, and that's how your mining contractors will price it. A better designed waste dump saved us circa $30 million. This transaction, circa $30 million. The 335,000 ounces that come with this tenement effectively come for free. There are several walk-up targets. We'll be drilling Maximus in the second half of this year, and once we complete the compulsory acquisition, we will restate these resources and then add them into our group mineral resource tables. Talking about mineral resources, we updated Mandilla's mineral resources last week. We increased the group MRE to 1.6 million ounces, Mandilla to 1.4 million ounces, and importantly, Thea, one large open pit, to 1.2 million ounces. We are focused on the de-risking of that Mandilla development, and this MRE update is just one of those important steps that you actually need to take. The update was focused on increasing the indicated ounces. We achieved a 49% increase. Given we were actually focused on infill drilling, we still added another 161,000 ounces. So if we look at all the exploration costs we incurred from July 2023 to when we put out this mineral resource announcement, all those costs divided by 161,000 ounces, we were still adding new ounces at $26 an ounce. It is a very value accretive business. Another important thing, as part of this update, we are now estimating the Mandilla mineral resources at $3,500 an ounce from a whittle optimisation perspective, but more importantly, the costs that we're using to drive that optimisation are based on a recently completed processing study, which will feed into the pre-feasibility, and a recently completed request for quotation to our mining contractors, which will also feed into the pre-feasibility. So the read-through, the thing I want you guys to take away from this is as we go from resources to a production target, the conversion rate is going to be exceptionally high. Now, I can't actually guide to a number, but we were 840,000 ounces at scoping. It will be at least 50% better than that. That's the sort of growth we're talking about for our pre-feasibility. Now, with this scoping study, which was published September 2023, so it is old, the important thing to remember though, is this scoping study was producing 100,000 ounces per annum at all-in sustaining costs of $1,700 an ounce Australian for the first 7.5 years. It's simple bulk scale mining, it is tried and tested milling, and it is free milling, it is exceptional gold recoveries. And this thing will generate rivers of cash in production. When we put out our mineral resource announcement, we deliberately disclose what those operating costs are going to be because they're the latest costs. That's what actually feeding into the mineral resource estimate. So that's in the public domain now. The processing costs are up just under 15%. The mining costs are actually tracking at a 10% reduction. So those two are actually going to net out. So we're in this unique position where the gold price is up 50%. The gold production is likely to be up over 50%. And the operating costs are flat. So, this is going to generate a set of financials that is almost as good as Dom Sheed's goal from the boundary to beat Collingwood in the 2018 Grand Final. That's how good these financials are going to be. Now, talking about the pre-feasibility, it is on track for coming out this quarter. From a permitting perspective, it is likely to be relatively straightforward. We believe this will sit at the state system, so within the Department of Mines, the DMIRS, and the Department of Water and Environmental Regulation. So what that means is, what you don't want is a project that needs to go to the EPBC Act, which is a federal review process. It just takes time. Similarly, you don't want your project to be referred under Part 4 of the WA Environmental Protection Act, and neither of those things can be triggered by our project. So we are very confident we have a very streamlined approvals process. Processing I've touched on, 13% increase in OPEX. CAPEX, we're at 123 million at scoping. I'll guide you to a bit north of 150 million, but trust me, this project is not capital cost sensitive. Mining, as I said, we ran this RFQ process. We have picked the midpoint of the contractor responses. So I haven't picked the cheapest response, I've picked the midpoint here. And finally, geotech and metallurgy, that is well in hand for this pre-feasibility that we will deliver this quarter. The obligatory corporate slide. So the things I want to touch on here, last year, one of our focuses was to build the institutional ownership of this company, and that did start to change in the lead up to Diggers and Dealers last year. We then pulled the trigger on a $25 million raise in September, so we are really, really well funded, and we've had continual on-screen buying by institutions. So we are sitting around this institutional ownership of about 25% today. That has changed Astral from a company that really wanted to develop our project to one that now has the financial capacity to do so, and that is really, really important. We've got coverage now with Euroz Hartleys, Canaccord and Petra, got the analysts covering us. Market cap, north of $200 million and $25 million cash in the bank. Board perspective, we've got strong leadership at a board level now, and the management team, importantly, we have been together for over 8 years. We had success at Egan Street Resources. We will deliver that success with Astral Resources. Now, focusing a little bit on the geology, this is a map of Mandilla, a large granite intrusion. You have this Karamindi shear, that's a regional shear that runs through the area. Where you get a deflection in the shear, it just gives you this classic structural target for gold. That's where our deposits are, Thea, Hestia, Eos and Iris. Something else I want to point on this map is you can see Hestia, it has actually crossed that white tenement line. That's Maximus's tenure. And similarly, Thea, which is the big pit, to that southwest, you can see how the pit crest has also gone into that Maximus's tenure. The Maximus tenure was an important transaction, and I'm super thankful that we were able to successfully execute it. Next is just a long projection of Thea, which we put in our recent mineral resource update. We did do a 4-hole, 1,800 metre program. It was there to look to convert the inferred resources at depth into indicated. We had some pretty high-grade results: a metre at 220, 10 metres at 28, 25 metres at 4, 28 metres at 2.6. This is a good ore body, continues to deliver decent results. Last year at this conference, I spoke about when we are diamond drilling, our drilling efficiency has continued to increase. And this latest program, across the 4 holes, we averaged 401 gram metres. That's the best return we've had from diamond drilling at Thea project to date. The other important 2 points on this slide is to the north. You can see that yellow dashed line. That was stage 2 of the scoping study pit. We've drilled that out. We've converted it from inferred to indicated. Important de-risking step. Similar in the guts of the ore body, that diamond drilling, that dashed line used to be the base of the indicated resources. You now see that we have converted a fair chunk of that from inferred into indicated. A couple of other points that are important to note here: 1.2 million ounces in a single large open pit. The pre-feas is probably going to end up at a strip ratio of 5.5 to 1. This is a very, very profitable large-scale open pit. It is the only plus 1 million ounce deposit in our region that belongs to a junior. It is the 3rd largest behind the Super Pit and Red Hill, both of which are Northern Star deposits. Now, just on Fayetteville, we are exploring at Fayetteville to find high-grade gold that we can actually put in and displace Mandilla ore. So it's about finding material that we can displace Mandilla, and we've got to do it in year 3 to year 7, maybe year 8, because that 8% discount rate, it actually just drops the value off really quickly if you're doing it in year 15. This tenement package, only 14 kilometres from Kalgoorlie. There's 200,000 ounces at 1.2 here. Camperman is a recent discovery, 84,000 ounces, and we did drill that out reasonably quickly. By road, this is 65 kilometres from Mandilla, so it is easily truckable. 2 slides just on Camperman. We did a 3-hole program that we reported results for this year. All 3 holes delivered plus 100 gram metre intersections. The one you can see on slide here was a metallurgical hole. We were drilling the southern lode at Camperman, which is actually a really sweet part of the ore body. 6 metres at 2, 21 metres at 2, 3 metres at 27, all in the 1 hole. Decent diamond result. Then we did another 2 holes where we were following up some RC high-grade hits. We got 21 metres at 3.6, 19 metres at 2 in 1 hole, and then 4 metres at 3.3, and then another 10 metres at 13.5. There is still more gold to be found at Camperman, just like there is across the wider Fayetteville tenement package. We have done a 9,000 metre air core program late last year and early this year. We've got a 6,000 metre RC program happening as we speak, following up on the gold anomalisms that we found from that air core. So to wrap up, 1 minute to go. We are extremely well funded. We are on track to deliver the pre-feasibility this quarter, and we are well funded all the way to a final investment decision, which will be 12 months after we deliver the pre-feas. We are still drilling. We've consistently demonstrated the ability to grow at sub $20 an ounce in discovery costs. The Maximus transaction provides us with a larger tenement footprint, which is relatively under-drilled, which will allow us to continue to grow our resources over time. All of our projects are in a great jurisdiction. It is a well-understood mining framework, and we have really, really good, strong community support, which allows you to get your mines up and running. Conventional gold deposits, conventional processing. The scoping study was already generating rivers of cash. The pre-feasibility undoubtedly will be much bigger and much better. Thank you. It's always a pleasure.